Hello, Pokemon trainers, and welcome to Liberty Garden's stream of the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. Some would say we're in Bluebell, some would say Norrington, Norristown, Norrietown. Doesn't matter, we're in a winter wonderland behind us, as you can see. I'm Joe Brown, joined with my partner, the man with the plan, Dan Levinson. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. We're off to a bit of a late start, but that's all right. We had 68 Masters today, 7 rounds before Top Cut. So it's gonna be a long day, but it's definitely gonna be worth it for a lot of players.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. We're gonna be having 2 really strong players this round between Ajit and Paul Chua. So gonna be really cool to see what teams they decide to bring in.
Yeah, we're a couple months into the format now, and we have Georgia coming up. A lot of regionals coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it's interesting to see. So far in this format, it's kind of like the flavor of the week has always been to counter whatever just won the regional previously, So we've seen Tapu Fini been doing very well. We saw Vikavolt in Dallas do very well. So that's what's going to probably be a lot of counter picks.
Yeah, the metagame has been shifting every single week between starting off with the London Intercontinental tournaments and then following that up with between Florida and then Dallas, and it's just been increasing ever since. So this is a good start for mid-season to see how this tournament starts to kind of shape the metagame and how we'll be seeing next week's regional over in Georgia.
It's going to be really fun. So our players are finding each other in games. They're getting set up. You guys are lucky because you have a couple of ace trainers on the mic today for for round 1 here at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. So Paul Chua will be on the bottom of your screen, and Ajit Unam is on the top of your screen. Also, shout out, Paul and I went to the same high school, so obviously he knows what's good. Paul has Salamence, Alolan Muck, Porygon 2, Araquanid, Tapu Koko, and Kartana, and Ajit has Tapu Fini, Vikavolt, Kartana, Arcanine, Gigalith, and Frostlass.
Wow. I'm really liking the Frostlass because that's definitely not a Pokemon you see very much of. It is a Ghost Ice typing, and depending on what attacks it might carry, I know it learns Destiny Bonds, and maybe that might be something that could be useful. I do remember seeing Geo make a post about how using Spotlight and Destiny Bonds and being able to redirect attacks onto it, but usually you've seen that on like a Smeargle or something. But looking at the rest of the team, though, we see Paul with the Tapu Koko and Ajit with the Tapu Fini. So we'll get the Misty Terrain up if he's able to, and preventing any type of status conditions.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. Also, Paul running that Araquanid. If you didn't know, his Twitter handle is Blue Spider. So obviously he's a huge fan of Araquanid, especially in this format. So let's get it underway. Our game 1 of round 1 here at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. One of the first midseason showdowns in the country, really. There's also Ohio going on, Indiana, but Pennsylvania, that's where we are, and that's what we're excited for. So Ajit opens with the Frostlass Arcanine, and Paul has Tapu Koko and Kartana. A bit more of a conventional lead for Paul compared to Ajit.
Yeah, we'll be seeing that Intimidate go off on Ajit now onto that Kartana, and Tapu Koko definitely benefiting onto that Kartana, though, because it is a physical type and won't be able to do as much damage. But threatening is definitely that Arcanine. It is a fire type, has the ability to use any type of fire move depending on Flamethrower or Heat Wave, so that could definitely be an attack he decides to use. Frostlass could also threaten here, but may opt to want to switch out. Sure, it could do probably an ice attack, but we're going to see that Frostlass switch out right now.
And here comes the Vikavolt, so Frostlass could be Focus Sash, doesn't want to break that sash, but Tapu Koko with the Protect. So Kartana would be the fastest on the field now. He goes for a Protect also. So Paul with the double Protect here, wanting to scout out what Ajit is up to. And there comes that Snarl from Arcanine. So now Tapu Koko with that Protect keeps its special attack at neutral.
Yeah, definitely trying to scout out what Ajit is trying to do there. Snarl would lower special attack by 1 stage, so that's really good knowledge to know now going into this turn. Possibly be trying to switch out that Kartana because it will be threatened by that Arcanine if he decides to keep it in. Otherwise, Flamethrower or even the Electric Terrain, increasing electric type attacks. Now that Vikavolt is able to take advantage of it and probably deciding if it wants to use maybe a Thunderbolt or even Tapu Koko being able to use its own electric type attacks.
and potentially even Ajit switching in his own Tapu Fini, or maybe Arcanine will just stay there and go for the Snarl again. He has nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Just being able to control board position and being able to lower any of that special attack it might get.
So we see a Z move coming out from Paul's side of the field onto that Tapu Koko. And is this the Tapu exclusive Z move here? No, it's the Fairy type Twinkle Tackle, which is the greatest Z move name in history. Look at him moving around there, hitting that Vikavolt. How much damage is it going to do? It does around 70-ish% there at the double target into the Vikavolt is not enough for the knockout. And the leftovers, or excuse me, the Papa Berry on the Vikavolt. Snarl again from that Arcanine is going to lower Tapu Koko's special attack stat. Critical hit on the Kartana, but Paul with the double target, not enough to knock out Vikavolt.
Yeah, Paul trying to get the read there and making the prediction, but we're going to finish up that turn with a Thunderbolt onto that Kartana, taking it out right now, and that is really good for Ajit.
Yeah, that was an excellent turn for Ajit, being able not only to take both attacks, but getting the Snarl off. So now Tapu Koko, it used its Z move, and it's now -1 as we see Muck come in here. But a big advantage for Ajit right now.
Yeah, so now with this turn, Vikavolt could threaten the Muck and possibly double target onto Paul's Muck right there. Potentially a Protect could come out this turn, but Tapu Koko is free to use a powerful electric type attack possibly onto that Arcanine.
Tapu Koko with the taunt on there onto the Arcanine. He goes for Flamethrower into the Muck slot, doing only a little bit of damage there, around 30%. Poison Jab onto Vikavolt, brings it down almost to the red there, but Thunderbolt onto Muck is going to do a lot in the electric terrain, but not enough, and it's going to eat that Figgy Berry there, so it's going to recover 50% of its health. So really kind of a dead turn. Vikavolt ends up with the lowest health, but another double target on Muck there.
Yeah, really, really close for that Muck there, being able to survive that attack. Muck is a pretty bulky Pokemon, and being able to take all those attacks and being able to take advantage of that berry too, because it does activate at 25% health, so it needs to be very careful in trying to go for those moves. Muck could possibly go for that target the Vikavolt again with a Poison Jab. Potentially knocking it out, but we saw how much damage that output was. So
Muck going to protect here, so no Poison Jab coming out. And the Dazzling Gleam, it is double target, so will it be enough for Vikavolt? No! Vikavolt survives there, not doing anything to Arcanine. And a Flamethrower into Tapu Koko. Does a healthy amount of damage with that critical hit. Thunderbolt onto Tapu Koko, read that protect from Muck, and gets the knockout there. So Ajit is now up 4-2.
Yeah, Ajit really dominating this set right now, making those double target plays and just trying to take out each Pokemon as much as possible, because every single one is going to be a threat. But we're going to see that Araquanid switch in for Paul now. He is down to his last 2.
That Vikavolt is unbelievably bulky. It's taking so many hits.
It's amazing. Right at 10% right there. It's just surviving there. Now we know why it was used and why it really dominated the competition in Texas.
Yeah, especially since electric terrain is up, it gets that additional boost to its Thunderbolt. But Vikavolt is going to protect. Flamethrower onto the Muck is going to bring it, nope, not even down to 50%, but a Poison Jab right into Vikavolt there. Liquidation is super effective on Arcanine, but it's pretty bulky. No, it actually does get the pretty much one-hit KO on Arcanine.
Yeah, so Paul just trying to climb right back and clawing his way into this match right now. Still has 3 more Pokemon to go, but could do something with the Araquanid because it is relatively bulky, and depending on what set he has, I do recall, I think it was the Z moves that they were using with Araquanid, being able to take advantage of that, but we are going to see the Tapu Fini come out and bring out that Misty Terrain.
Misty Terrain, Electric Terrain went down that turn, so Vikavolt's Thunderbolts are not going to be boosted here. And we saw, if Araquanid is running the Z move, Tapu Koko already used his, so that's kind of a wasted item on Araquanid. We'll have to see. Potentially, I've also seen some Citrus Berries, Salt Vest to boost that already crazy high special defense.
Yeah, and in addition with that Misty Terrain, so no status conditions can happen for this game for these next 5 turns. So you won't get any poison from that Poison Jab, nor any paralysis from the Thunderbolts. So that's going to be very detrimental in this match because status conditions are always can always play a factor in matches.
Vikavolt switches out back into Frostlass, who we have not seen since the first turn. Muddy Water, Muck avoids, so that's important for Muck to stay on the field. Arachnid is going to resist. Is there an accuracy drop? Yes. Arachnid's accuracy has fallen. Poison Jab onto the Tapu Fini, brings it down to under 50%. And Liquidation, does he go for the double target? No, he went for Frostlass there. Is enough for, gets the one-hit KO, but Curse Body Liquidation is now disabled. So Paul has crawled back into this game here. It's 2-2 with Vikavolt on Jeet's side in the red, but he has his Liquidation disabled now.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of tough for Paul here, not being able to use that water type. But again, actually seeing that Vikavolt with that 10% health, he actually was able to claw back. And depending on what Muck said is he might be carrying that Shadow Sneak. So being able to just priority and just knocking out that Vikavolt would be important, and or even just poison jabbing the Tapu Fini. But we're going to see that Muck go ahead and bring on a Protect.
Yeah, double Protect out on Paul's side of the field, so no damage is going to be coming off this turn. Muddy Water not going to be affected. What's interesting to see for next turn is Vikavolt and Muck are relatively in the same speed tier, and Arachnid's even slower than that. So if Tapu Fini can get another Muddy Water off and more accuracy drops, maybe that's how Ajit can come back.
Yeah, it's amazing how Paul was able to claw back into this match, being already down to his last two Pokemon and still being able to bring it to tie. But he's in a really good position with all the health that he has in his Pokemon.
Wide Guard being revealed on the Arachnid there. Muck with the Shadow Sneak also. That should be enough for the knockout. Now, critical hit, but obviously didn't really matter there. Tapu Fini is Ajit's lone Pokemon. Muddy Water goes into that Protect, or it's not, yeah. Oh, excuse me, into the Wide Guard. So it's not going to be able to do anything. So a Shadow Sneak reveal, a Wide Guard reveal, it looked like Paul had this situation handled. Maybe you want to save Wide Guard for game 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Paul played his outs and he played it perfectly, and we're going to see the forfeit from Ajit. We're going to go on to this next game 2, but that was really amazing comeback.
Yeah, that was strong. He was down 4-2 very early in that game there. The Frostlass, we actually didn't really get to see it do anything. It was in at the beginning. It was Arcanine Frostlass was Ajit's open, and it immediately switched out into the Vikavolt. I haven't really seen Frostlass since like Gen 4 back in the day with like Will-O-Wisp and other Destiny Bond shenanigans like that, but maybe Frostlass stays on the bench in game 2.
Yeah, perhaps. Frostlass is a very offensive Pokemon, so just being able to fire off those blizzards and having it with maybe support from Ninetales or actually Abomasnow, because Abomasnow was really important back in the day, like Scarf Abomasnow or Focus Sash Abomasnow, and that was a lot of the ways where you would be able to control your hail for Blizzard and make the 100% accuracy.
Yeah, I don't think, but Abomasnow's not in this deck, so that would have been cool to see. And we do know Paul loves Abomasnow. He was using it throughout the last few formats, in 14 to 15 at least. He used Mega Abomasnow to great success.
Yep, exactly. But we're going back into this game 2 now. So looking at both sides, I do recall, so speaking of that Frostlass, we didn't really see much of it at all because it did just get 1-hit KO'd. So perhaps he might want to bring in, that Gigalith, as a potential to try and counter the Muck. So that's one option for him to do, because honestly, it just switched in. Sure, it got the Cursed Body, but other than that, it didn't really have much support there. Yeah,
I really like either Kartana or Gigalith in this situation because they can both handle Arachnid. Kartana with the Leaf Blade and Gigalith with the Rock Slide, or if he has the Rock Z move that can handle Arachnid much better. And we saw Arachnid was able to pull back that game for Paul.
Yeah, and even the Sandstream ability, just being able to boost your special defense in Sand for Rock-type Pokemon, so that's always helpful. But we are going to be going straight into this next match now between Ajit and Paul.
And let's see if Ajit is able to come back here and force a game 3. He opens with the same lead, Arcanine and Frostlass, and Paul Chua switching it up, going for Porygon 2 and Muck. So that Intimidate going to go off on Muck. Hurts a little bit there, but let's see what Porygon's download increases. Its special attack. So even though Muck lost its attack, Porygon stays in with that special attack. I would expect a Muck switch out.
Yeah, potentially. Ajit might have read, because I'm pretty sure it carries taunt, and if he tries to be able to read a Protect Trick Room, but Muck being down in attack at one stage in attack might opt to switch out here, and just being able to start damaging either of Ajit's Pokemon. Maybe he might want to just go ahead and go for that Thunderbolt onto that Frostlass and just getting some damage onto it.
Muck with the switch out into Araquanid here, getting prepared for next turn to Liquidation that Arcanine. And the Z move coming out on Ajit's side, that is the Ghost type Z move, something we see on Mimikyu a lot. Frostlass is carrying the Z move here, and it goes for Destiny Bond. So if Paul targeted it down and it gets knocked out, it will also take out its opponent. Shadow Ball into Frostlass. It's not enough for the knockout though. Roar on to Porygon 2. Didn't want Trick Room getting set up. Salamence with the Intimidate coming out. Ajit, he had the play, it just didn't work out. Even with the special attack boost, the Porygon 2 Shadow Ball was not enough for Frostlass.
Yeah, that was a really perfect turn, almost perfect turn for Ajit. Just had the Shadow Ball been able to knock it out, he would have been able to take out that Porygon 2. And there's always many ways to be stopping Trick Room, as we just saw with the Roar, because Roar goes before Trick Room. So being able to switch out that Porygon 2, or any other way to stop it, is a really good setup for him. And Porygon 2, as we've seen for these past couple weeks, it's always known for carrying Trick Room.
Now Chu has to be aware that Frostlass has Destiny Bond and can use it whenever it wants. Tapu Fini switching in for that Frostlass. Misty Surge is going to go up, so it's going to lower Dragon type attacks is going to have it, and you can't get burned or put to sleep or paralyzed, no status ailments. Porygon 2 switching back in there, wanting to come back after that Roar, increasing its attack this time around. Arcanine with the Protect, and what does the Araquanid go for? Liquidation straight into that Protect. So we saw a Misty Surge get set up and 2 switch-ins, Tapu Fini and Porygon 2.
Yeah, so between the switches, so not really great for Araquanid. Well, okay, Arachnid's actually really good for the Arcanine, being super effective and being able to do the Liquidation, but Tapu Fini, not so much. It could start, dealing damage, and depending on what kind of set it's running, Choice Specs has been getting really popular, but we've also been seeing the set that Inashikar used with the Leftovers and Calm Mindset. So it really depends on what both players are running here, but we're going to see that Moonblast now being targeted.
Into Arachnid. Arachnid has a very high special defense stat, so bring it down to about 50%, and the Flamethrower not doing really any much damage there. Liquidation, we saw it get the knockout last game, so will it be enough for a one-hit? Yes. Arcanine goes down, and Porygon 2, Shadow Ball into the Tapu Fini, does an okay amount of damage considering, but gets a special defense drop, which can help Porygon 2 next turn.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be really helpful. Any chance that you can get of lowering stages in defense will always be helpful for your partnered Pokemon. So depending on what other moves that Porygon 2 might be carrying, maybe it might be carrying a Thunderbolt on there, but we're going to have to see what Ajit decides to switch in for his Pokemon. But we are going to be seeing that Vikavolt.
And if Tapu Fini is Choice Spec, like we've seen very common, it's now locked into Moonblast. If it goes for Muddy Water, obviously it's not, but it might need to switch out to reset its attack.
Yeah, but that Vikavolt is definitely going to be draining that Araquanid now with a Thunderbolt. And Porygon 2 might want to set up the Trick Room if it goes for, because, Araquanid is going to be a pretty slow Pokemon right now.
Araquanid with the Protect there, not wanting to take that Thunderbolt. Tapu Fini does go for Moonblast again into the Porygon 2. Should take that relatively well, as it does. Thunderbolt goes straight into that Protect. And Ice Beam onto the Vikavolt. Going to bring it down. Do like 20-ish, 25%. And the Leftovers recovery for Araquanid.
Yeah, but we're going to see that Leftovers recovery on the Araquanid. Potentially might want to just go and target that Vikavolt. It is threatening the Araquanid right now. But could also decide to go for a switch here. So really, really big turn for Paul right now.
There's a third Moonblast in a row, so our suspicions might be correct. Moonblast bringing Porygon 2 down to under 50% and lowering its special attack, which hurts. Thunderbolt onto Araquanid does get the knockout. And what does Porygon 2 go for this turn? Potentially a Trick Room? Nope, it went for a recover there. So gets its health back, but it lost its special attack from that Moonblast.
Yeah, really unfortunate for the Porygon too. It may even want to just try and switch out to be able to reset the special attack, but we're going to see that switch in of Muck.
Muck coming in on the switch in there. Not really threatened by either of Ajit's Pokemon too much here.
Yeah, actually, Muck is going to be threatening really hard the Tapu Fini, though, being able to do a Poison Jab onto it. But as we saw from the previous game, even if a double targeting onto the Muck, it's still going to be able to take that relatively well.
And let's see, if Tapu Fini goes for a 4th Moonblast, it's confirmed. I'm going to call it right now. It's confirmed that he would be spec'd.
Yeah, it would most likely make sense because being able, so many options for it to be doing. If you're seeing the same attack multiple times, most likely it's just a choice item. But I think the best bet right now is just go for a Pro-Tick and Trick Room, really. You know, just being able to control and have the speed advantage.
Here is that Moonblast into Alolan Muck. It is a neutral hit, brings it to pretty much exactly 50%, and it will eat that Figgy Berry and go almost all the way back up to full HP. Poison Jab onto Tapu Fini, does a good amount, bringing it down into the red. No poison because we are in Misty Surge and Misty Terrain. Thunderbolt again, critical hit, and Shadow Ball onto the Tapu Fini will be enough for the knockout. So Muck's Figgy Berry going off there was huge because Thunderbolt had the critical hit.
Yeah, exactly. That ability that it gets with Gluttony, being able to activate berries at 50%, and it works perfectly with the Figgy Berries. So we're going to see that Frostlass switch in now for Ajit.
Chua's got to look out. Remember, obviously he doesn't have the Z Destiny Bond anymore, but Frostlass still has Destiny Bond, and I always have troubles playing around Destiny Bond. I always seem to attack into it.
Yeah, Again, I'm thinking that a Trick Room setup here right now would be really good for Paul, and just being able to start targeting that Vigavolt the most.
Muck with the Protect. Frostlass does go for Destiny Bond. So did Porygon attack into it, or did it go for a Trick Room here? Thunderbolt into Protect. So Porygon, Shadow Ball into Frostlass. That's going to knock out the Frostlass, but it will also take down Porygon 2. At this point, Porygon 2 did its job, though. It also had its special attack lowered, so it wasn't like it was doing it too much damage. But Chua still has 2 Pokemon. Ajit just has the Vikavolt left. Maybe that's what Chua wanted, to bring his Salamence in for free.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. Just being able to get better board control and being able to sacrifice your own Pokemon to bring out the Salamence. And Salamence generally carries Draco Meteor, so should be enough to knock out the Vikavolt.
Chua playing it safe, getting that substitute off there, and a knockoff onto Vikavolt. I'm interested to see. It had the Eopapa Berry right from last game. Thunderbolt onto Muck is enough for the knockout there. Finally, Ajit able to knock out that pesky Muck there. But Chua is now behind the sub on his Salamence, and Vikavolt is in the yellow. It's looking like Game 2 is going to Chua.
Yeah, looks like we're going to see that once again. The first time we're going to be seeing the Z move off of that Salamence for Paul Chua, going to be that devastating Drake, and will be doing enough damage to knock out that Vigavolt. So
a bit of a flare move, right?
Yeah. Love that animation, just flying out into the wind and going and targeting that Vigavolt. It looks like a nuclear explosion, but it's going to be taking it out there, and Paul Chua is going to win this round 1 match 2-0.
And that's really interesting. So congrats to Paul winning round 1. He's got to do well in the other 6 rounds to move on to Top Cut. But Ajit was really in control in game 1 there. He was up 4-2 on Pokemon. He had the right terrain up, and Chua really needs to come back, get his Araquanid to get the knockout on Arcanine. Game 2, it looked like Chua adjusted better than Ajit did there. Even though he had the Destiny Bond on Frostlass, like we were saying in Game 1, Frostlass really didn't accomplish anything. All it did in Game 2 was knock out the Porygon that had a lowered special attack and wasn't going to bother anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Even towards the end there, being able to get it down, because he did the Destiny Bond, it survived with about 10%, kind of ruined his plans for him there because he needed to knock it out right there. But other than that, though, it started setting up perfectly for Paul, bringing out the Salamence and just covering up the game on that Vigavolt.
So that was a really exciting round 1 here at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. We come back. Hopefully we can get an interview with Chua, talk about his team a little bit and how he expects to do today. So stay tuned right here on Liberty Garden.
Yep. Be right back, guys. Thanks.